Hey, 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 welcome to Mind Power Meets Mystic. I am Cinthia Varkevisser, your program's mystic, and I'm here with my Pally Wally, extraordinaire hypnotist and marketing specialist, Michelle Walters, and we're here with one of my best friends, and I'll just say the naughty amigo. I'll call you my naughty. Michelle, so sorry. With my naughty amigo, Ms. Laura Wucher. Laura Wucher is one of the most successful agents, real estate agents in the East Bay, and specializing in Pleasant Hill and Martinez. And she's going to talk to us not just about real estate, the money, and what the market's doing. We're talking about first chakra things because real estate talks about so many different areas in the root chakra, right? And Laura's going to talk about how she works with her clients who are very, very driven by their money, security, survival. Welcome, Laura.
Hello, how you doing, Cynthia? Michelle.
Good, good, good. So, um, I love working with you because I know how you deal with your clients. You have a special touch. Whenever I get to speak with your clients through house clearings, there's a lot of affection and respect when they talk about you, right? So, can you tell us a little bit about how you work with them and how you can get down with their, in real estate, we call them objections, but really their fears, their base concerns.
So when I go on a listing appointment and I'm meeting someone for the first time, you really don't know who you're going to be meeting. I listen, I really try to learn about them and how to serve them at the highest level, right? It's not about me, it's about them. And I do initially try to get into what those fears are, why they're moving, try to understand if one person wants to move, the other person doesn't. So that does happen as well. And then create or mold myself and my presentation and how we work together based on them so that they're comfortable working with me. I'm not going to be the fit for everybody. So there's, certain people and like I don't take all the listings because if I don't feel like we're going to fit together or if they're going to be abusive to me, I don't want to work with them. So, I do have boundaries there too. But it's a journey. It's and I'm there as their guide. And I do, as I said, make my structure how I work with them based on their needs. So yeah, I'm a therapist basically.
That's true. That's really
Hmm.
true.
How did
Yeah.
you get into this kind of work, Laura? What inspired you to become a realtor?
So let's see, my grandma's sister's a realtor, was successful in Florida. My dad is a real estate developer. My mom did a little bit of residential for a bit. And then I was married. My ex-husband was working in a real estate office. The real estate market went down in 2008 and we weren't making enough money to survive. And so my brother-in-law said, why don't you just go into real estate? Even if you can make 30,000 a month, it will be, you can help the family. And so that's what I did. And it was perfect for me. I tried knitting. I used to love knitting, but you can't make enough money doing that. I tried Nordstrom's, don't like going into box, and yeah, so this was the right fit for me. I can be creative and an entrepreneur, so it's good. Yeah.
Uh, Laura was a rising star when I met her. I think you were in your second year, and I think you got the Rookie of the Year award or something like that.
Hmm.
And the thing that I loved about Laura is I would go into the office and she'd be talking to someone and then she'd say, okay, I just went to this listing appointment. I want you to go. You're going to buy a chocolate covered strawberry. And then you're
Yes.
going to knock on their door and you're going to present them with a chocolate covered strawberry as a thank you for this meeting. And I thought, holy crap, that's a whole lot of effort. And
Yes.
look where you are, you
Well,
know.
now I'm planting little succulents and it says help, thank you for helping me grow. So that's my new thing. So I like gardening. So it's fun. And you can leave them in the sun. They're not gonna get all moldy and soft and stuff. So
Which
yeah.
is what happened, which is what happened with the chocolate covered
Exactly. Those
strawberries.
were not that I couldn't do that because it wasn't working. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gets hot out here in the
It
summer. I
gets
can
hot out
imagine with the
here.
strawberries and the chocolate. or seasonal,
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's an interesting career because every day is different, every person is different, and there are a lot of emotions throughout the transaction, not even in the very beginning. And for me, I sold my house, and I going through that, it gave me a new more compassion for what people are going through. Like when my daughter's room was all staged and I was doing a walkthrough with the stager, I just broke down and started crying. And it's like, wow, where did that come from? But, there's all the memories that you create at home. So now when people are talking and coaching people when they're getting ready to move, I let them know that that emotion is a part of it and it's okay to have that and the feeling of being overwhelmed. And there's a lot of emotion that goes along with moving. Yeah.
That's true. Well, I love
Mhm.
that you actually started in real estate as a first chakra solution, right? Because it had to do with money. Money is one of those things about feeling safe, secure, survival. Another one of
Right.
my favorite stories is as you're out farming, still a new agent, your son had to flyer. And what Laura would say is, if you want to go to that private school, you got to help me make the money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a great thing, but it also reinforces, how to stay safe, to get what you want so you don't tap into that root chakra challenge.
But
And
it is an interesting career still because it's a sales job at the end of the year, right? So if you're not selling, you're not making money. So it's not like a paycheck is coming in either. And so a lot of it in real estate, you have to keep open mentally and manifest what you want because like I can get in my own way. Oh, the market's bad. I don't have any listings. And then it just perpetuates itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a first chakra job serving a
Yes,
chakra need. It's kind of like the ultimate of the whole thing.
it's a double chakra.
It's like double one chakra, and it's really, I mean, they say about realtors, you guys are realtors or have been, but me no, but it's feast or famine, right?
Yes, yeah, but I would rather feast, so I will manifest feasting more than the famine. Yes.
yeah, they say that if you choose to be a realtor, you could be perpetually unemployed. So
Well,
it's really good to,
yeah,
right?
I think they did the stats, and I forget what percentage of realtors last year only sold 1 to 2 homes, and you can't survive off of that.
No,
No.
no, absolutely. Have you run into these challenges with your clients where all of a sudden, because I have a couple of clients, but that was on the buy side, that they wanted something and then they realized they couldn't afford it. And then the whole thing that they go through, or I had this is the one that put me out of real estate. I put real estate on pause, is that they really thought their house was worth a certain amount of money. And when I showed them all the proof that it wasn't,
Mhm.
there was disbelief, there were, all these things that happened. And I know that you do really well with that. So why don't you talk
Yeah.
about that? Like,
I-
what do your clients go through and how do you solve that for them?
So I have one right now, and it it's a beautiful home. And so we pulled comps before we came on the market. It was a couple months because it took time to get it ready and everything. And the market was different. And then by the time I put it on the market, the stock market was all crazy and we had Easter and stuff like that. And we weren't even having any showings. It was listed almost at 2 million. I have an appraiser friend and a real estate coach, and the real estate coach coached me a bit on, giving him the information on price and absorption, and then the appraiser actually wrote out everything. So I paid him $100. He made my job easy. So I presented them with the information, kind of like softly hinting, giving him the feedback from open houses that doesn't have a yard for that price they can buy in Danville or in San Ramon or in Lafayette or Rinda. And, just giving them the information and letting them process it. The husband is a little bit hot-headed, and so it was like I didn't want to offend also. And then just having a conversation with them. And I didn't have a conversation all about real estate and prices and stuff like that. We talked about the kids, we talked about life, where they moved to. So it was a long conversation, but part of it, maybe like 5 minutes, was about the price. And then I gave them my recommended price, and they said, we need to think about this. And so I think I called them back, they weren't ready. And then finally they wanted to talk to me and they were ready to drop the price. And so now that we've dropped it, it was a huge price drop, it was 300,000, but we didn't have the right price for our market, in the house. I mean, it's a different market right now. So it's also, I think, communicating, because they're not here. And I think people are afraid. Why isn't my house selling? They take it personally, like it's an affront on them that their house isn't selling. So just being calm, letting them know that they hired me for my expertise. I got this, I got them, and making my recommendations. And if it was something I could have fixed in the house, that's what I would have done, but that wasn't the case. So I think I still need to get an offer, but people are looking at the house now. So, that's a positive for me.
That's first step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason I love, well, you employ me, which is, that's not the only reason why I love you, but that you trust me every time is a
Hmm.
beautiful thing. And what I tell everyone when I talk about you as a realtor is that you use house clearings as a resource, right? How for the listing agent,
Hmm.
for the listing as the last thing. And I've known you to um bury saints and
Right.
right all the things within what the clients want. And I'm the last person, last resort, which I think
Well,
is
I have one now. She wants you to go in and clear it before we even go on the market.
oh, I'm so down. I'm hot and heavy for a house clearing. And well, the other thing is that when you are the second realtor, meaning that they fired their first listing agent,
Hmm.
then I'm one of the first people on there because you're doing something different. And it's almost like you're clean slate, not just for the house, but with everyone.
For
And
everything. Yeah.
yeah. And the reason I like that is because they're already in fear, like what's wrong with our house, what's wrong, just like what you said.
Hmm.
Well, you're
Yeah.
doing
Why isn't it
different
selling?
things, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love the way that you presented, but you also do other things to help alleviate. I mean, come on, this is like the biggest thing that they own,
Hmm.
biggest
Hmm.
purchase. So,
Right.
and the biggest transaction in their lives.
Yeah, and just calming, like slowing down a bit, depending on the client, right? You have younger people that just send them a text message, they got it. You got people that don't even do DocuSign and go and meet with them and explain everything and really hold their hand. So it is really curating, adapting myself to their needs, but understanding like I do this every day and they don't. So it's hard. It's like they don't even know where to start a lot
Right.
of times. Yeah. So just breaking it down and walking them through it, and um I don't know, letting them know that things are going to come up probably too.
Gotcha.
It's hard. The hardest clients, though, are the ones that are all about the money. I need to get X amount. And I've gotten stronger within myself to say, you know, I'm going to market your house. I'm going to show your house. It's going to look as best as possible and get in front of a lot of buyers. But what I can't control, and you can't either, is the market, the competition, and interest rates. So all of those are out of our control. And if those factors don't line up with the market, you might not get this price that you want. And yeah, that's just having that hard conversation with
Right.
them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Michelle and I do this great thing. We do a great tag team, right? So, because I come from the intuition, and Michelle's very intuitive, and she comes from intellect. So she's, like quite a powerhouse, right? Having the intellect and the intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I love about you, so there's two of us and we work on one person. There's one
Mm-hmm.
of you and you have clients in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Multiple. So how do you work with couples, right? Because they think a lot of times couples think that they're in sync and they're not.
They're not in sync. Yeah,
Right.
that's very,
Right.
very true.
So you're
And
dealing with two different kinds of fears and desires and some things that are illogical, right? So
mhm.
how do you do that?
Well, I mean, there's always a decision maker, right? So, connect with that person. I see if they both want to be on everything, and sometimes they're like, no, just talk to, the wife or the husband, or so I find that out first. And it is intuition how to deal with, the couples. If it's a divorce situation or it's trustees, I'm Switzerland. I'm going to text both of them. It's going to be the same message to everybody, and they're all included. So it really is dependent on the person. Although in this case, with the husband and the wife, and he wanted the higher price, and she's more flexible, I did talk more to her because I thought talking to her, she's going to be able to convince him
Right.
versus if I'm talking with him, we might end up in conflict. So that was how I handled that, and I think it worked out well.
Right.
Yeah.
You have another set of clients that I know. They absolutely loved you and they welcomed me in.
Mm-hmm.
And he was ready to move. And she said, "This is my house."
Right.
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 And it went up for sale. I mean, even though she found a house that she liked, it was still, she still, air quotes, my house. So how did you handle that?
That
And
was
they were great
interesting.
clients.
Yeah. So when they were talking about moving, and she was like, I could tell she wasn't ready at all. I'm like, I'm not going to push you guys. That's not who I am. And so they would go and look at houses just on their own. They weren't even really, you know, I wanted to be shown a house. They just go out on the weekend. And then she eventually found a place that she liked, and it was just out of the blue because I thought we were never going to list this house. I thought I was just going to do, paint it, get it ready, and we are just whatever kind of thing. And so when she found it, then we got it ready for the market, and it's a nice house, and it didn't sell. It should have sold, but it didn't sell, and that was interesting. So they were, I could start to feel their angst. They were getting nervous that the house wasn't selling, and a little freaking out. And it was going to be the holidays. I think I brought you in,
Mhm.
and you did your clearing. And so I was talking to him because I really want to take it off the market for Christmas and then put it back on the beginning of the year because it's, people weren't showing over the holidays. And you told me that the buyer wasn't ready yet. The buyer was going to be out in January. And so then the first open house I had in January, the buyer said they've been waiting for the house. They weren't ready to buy earlier. And it's just like freaky, freaky, freaky stuff. But it worked. I mean, and so they listened to me. And that's the thing. Not everybody listens. So that's the hardest thing with clients is when they're hiring me for my expertise. I'm giving it, and they're not listening to me, and it's a bit frustrating. But I have to let that go because that's where they're coming from. And so we have one right now, and everything he's asking what he should do to fix up the house. We give him advice. Like Nancy was there today, my assistant, and she said, we need to put bark out. Said, I don't want bark right here because this is where the lawnmower goes. And she's like, no, we put bark out. So when we take pictures, it looks good. Going back and forth. And finally, Nancy, I told her this. I said, we're your advisor, we're your trusted advisors. This is what we do. You hire us for our expertise, but you're the ultimate decision maker. And so that's what we're doing now. And his house might not show as well as it could. And that's his choice. And it might affect his bottom line. Maybe it won't, but I just can't keep my emotions attached to that. I need
It's
to let it go.
it's interesting as you guys are talking about this because you're deep in this world and I'm not really in
Mm-hmm.
this world, but it just brings up for me how complicated of a transaction
Mm-hmm.
buying and selling a house is. I mean, my own
Right.
story was I bought a house I was renting. So it didn't have the same kind of I mean, there was
Right.
negotiations, but it
Right.
didn't have the same kind of drama. Like I knew what I was buying. I knew in a way that
But I think when
No
you're
buyer ever
moving,
gets to know,
when you're moving though, I feel like there's a sense of loss. You know, you're even, and there's so many different reasons. You know, did the parents have to go in a home because they have Alzheimer's? Did, you know, is it a trustee sale? Did they have another baby and they're buying something bigger? That's usually happy, but you have so many different emotions, and then you have all the memories that you created in the home over the years. And then it's hard to move. The logistics of packing up everything, figure out what you're going to keep and get rid of. It's multi-layered. So that's what I mean when I take a step back and when my clients start freaking out, it's like that's okay to freak out. I got you. That you know you have a safe haven here. But yeah, it's very complicated and it's like up and down. Right. And then there's always the unexpected, but I tell them I'm going to solve their problems. I'm going to work on solving the problems before it becomes a problem. So I like if I can solve it, they will never even know that there was a problem that could have existed. Yeah. So it's fun. It is. I
Big air quotes
not
you
every
fame,
found your
day,
fun.
jam. Yeah,
not
you
every day, but a lot of days are fun.
Meeting the people are really meeting the people. Um, for me is you got to see them. I said, you and when I would go to listing appointments or even as a buyer, I'd say, we're going to be besties for the next few months, and I'm going to know a lot about you.
Mhm.
And that's the other nice thing is that you get to see people in a very short amount of time, become very vulnerable, and you see their squishy parts.
Mhm.
Oh, that's not part of the rated X thing, uh, Michelle, just so you know, they're squishy parts. Uh, But and so you do see people at their most vulnerable on so many levels. And
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I had a client who uh had a nervous tick, and it was so stressful that by the time it was over, you know, there was substantial hair loss.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And you also like even when I sold the house, you know, then there were the kids too. You don't even think those parents are dealing with their kids and moving away from their friends and all of that. So there's complexities that I'm not even really a part of that are going on at home too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Real estate's fascinating, and there is a lot of psychology and therapy and tears. There were a lot
mm-hmm.
of tears. Sometimes they were mine, but definitely not with the clients. Uh,
Right.
oof,
The night you want to pour a big glass of wine because you're going, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Yeah.
yeah, for me, it was chocolate and ice cream, and I did not lose weight as a realtor.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There were days I wanted to quit. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Oh my God. But then I wake up the next day and I go, you know, what else is there? I really do like what I do. And a lot of people can't say that.
right.
So, and as I'm getting more experience, I think I'm learning how to handle things better and not just be reactive to things. So that's been good too. But yeah, it is a fear, scared, interesting journey. You know, I mean, and I tell people to just trust in the universe, especially when they don't have the house that they're moving to yet and they're getting ready to sell.
Oh, yeah, they're so afraid.
And I say, don't worry, the right house is going to come at the right time. And it always, always does, which is really crazy. But I've never had someone be homeless. So,
No, no.
right?
No, as a matter of fact, so there's a part of the contract where, at the end of the transaction, the seller could actually stay and become the renter for a certain amount of days.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so it's called a rent back. And so a lot of times the sellers say, I want a 60-day rent back or whatever. And even with the rent back, um, as a safety net, I don't believe we ever had a problem with the transaction, going beyond for them to stay
Right,
renters. It's really incredible.
right, right. I had one though, they did find it was during COVID. They found the house they wanted to buy, and then their own house fell out of escrow twice.
Oof.
Like, I didn't know once. I think it was only once. And so, but what happened is I was talking to a lender about this because they couldn't get the loan. And then she talked to another realtor who had a buyer for it. So the same day they were back in contract and they got to keep the security deposit.
Yeah, yeah, I had a similar story like that too. It's amazing. Just
Hmm.
how the universe works through. So it
Yeah,
is a pretty spiritual business when you just kind of sit back and let things unfold.
right,
Pretty amazing.
right.
Yeah.
It's, and it depends on the person because I'm not super transactional, but I'm sure there's very transactional realtors out there. Um, but that's
And there are
not.
people for them. Yeah, there are people for them.
Hmm.
There's someone for everyone, especially
Yes.
in real estate. So, hey, you got 3 listings this week, which is
I,
kind of amazing.
hmm.
And bravo to you because because you don't have a huge team, right? You're
No, right now I
in-house.
have two buyer's agents and basically my assistant, but it isn't, I mean, I've been manifesting this for a bit and then everything just came at once. So it was, yeah, it just all came together, which is good. Really, it's a late spring for me this year, but I had 3 this last week, putting 2 on this coming week. So, and then I have another one we're getting ready. So that's good.
Right. That's
Yeah.
great. We're going to be on live. Do you want to talk about it, the listings at all before we sign
Not
off? Or you good?
really. I'm good. I
Good.
mean, I have the beautiful one with the price drop. That's in Concord on Ridge Drive. That's beautiful.
It is
And
gorgeous.
yeah, it is. It's gorgeous. And then the others, yeah, we'll just see. I do feel like the buyers are out there and we will be getting in some offers on 2 of them this week. The other one I feel like is overpriced. So once again, I'll have that conversation and
Right.
see what they want to do.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, I will make sure that we put your website in the show notes. Is that the
Okay.
best way to get a hold of you? Is at laurawusher.com?
Yep, that's perfect.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
being with
you.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. All
So much
right.
fun
Thanks,
talking with
Cynthia.
you. Yep.
Thanks. Okay, I'll see you soon, girl.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.